Welcome to Hunter Fuel, a supernatural rewatch podcast for adults who enjoy their show with a chaser. I'm Liz.
And I'm Lynn.
Thanks so much for joining us for season 1, episode 2, Wendigo. We model responsible drunkenness here. All parties are way over 21. No one is pregnant. No one will be driving, handling weapons, or operating heavy machinery. If you're playing along at home, those are the rules. If you decide not to follow them and you do something stupid, don't blame us. Lynn, what are you drinking this evening?
I am doing a cranberry vodka.
A cranberry vodka for you. That sounds very tasty. I I tried to decide what to do this week, and I ended up since we have Alden Ehrenreich in this episode, I thought I would go for a Star Wars theme cocktail. So, out of the Galaxy's Edge Black Spire Outpost cookbook, there is a recipe for it's called a Rodian Splice. So, if you remember from the first Star Wars movie, A New Hope,
Yeah.
Han Solo is in the cantina with Greedo. Greedo, his species is a Rodian. So, this is a
Ah,
Rodian splice. It is 1/2 ounce of coffee liqueur, 1/2 ounce of Irish cream, and 1/2 ounce of bourbon. It is supposed to be a layered drink. Mine did not come out layered, but we're just going to roll with it. It's going to taste the same. We're just going to roll with it. Wizard Dave, can you bring up the cards for us, please? All right, let's see what we've got here. What do you think? I got to say,
well,
I'm not terribly thrilled with mine.
ah, uh, ah,
Well, we're just going to see. We're
I,
going to play and we're going to see what happens.
yeah, exactly. I'm hoping that, I'm hoping something's happened that I don't remember, because otherwise this is going to be the most
So,
most sober episode we're gonna have. Because wow,
yeah, this is not a super boozy episode to begin with, and yeah, these cards aren't helping us out. But the good news is we can sneak one when when nobody's looking. So for right now, the first one is on the house. Oh, cheers.
cheers! Wow, that's
All
good.
right.
Dang
Let's
it.
get this show on the road.
I am very excited about this week's episode.
Well, let's see what happens.
Please, please skip the recap.
No, we're not skipping the recap.
Oh, okay.
All right, let me back it up. All right, so we've hit play. This is the recap.
Yep.
What
All
are we
right.
looking at,
So we
Lynn?
know that they get out of the house,
Mhm.
and we know that the mother is gone,
Mother has died.
and that dad is missing from a hunting trip.
Dad has gone on a hunting trip.
Mhm.
He hasn't been home in a few days.
And that he leaves Jess alone for the weekend.
Mhm. This is scintillating content.
I know.
We have
I
the
was saying, and
journal.
now and now brings in the journal, which becomes a key piece for several things.
Yeah, the journal's important, and we did
Yep.
see the coordinates.
Yep. And now the major thing. Now the major bookend. Jessica, who dies just like the mother.
She does. And we've got this great, we got work to do. What are we looking at, Lynn?
All right, so we're in Lost Creek, Colorado, and we are on a camping trip. So, and what do we know about dark woods, camping trips, and these kinds of shows? Nothing good is going to happen.
This is not going to go well.
No,
Yeah.
no, it is not. But I am particularly excited because in a moment.
Well, and I'm actually going to hit pause here quickly because we have a dude. Do either of us have? I have a dude.
Let me see here. Do I have a dude? Yes, I do have a dude.
Oh, we both have one on the board. Cheers.
Cheers. All righty.
All right, we are tied 1 each. All right, hitting play.
Yeah. All righty, so they are in the tent, and I'm going to hit pause right here.
Okay.
But for anyone who is a Heartland fan, anyone who knows me knows I'm a diehard, you should recognize the individual on the screen right now.
All right, I do not watch Heartland. Who are we looking at here?
We are looking at Graham Wardle, who played Ty Borden in the first 15 seasons.
Oh, that's funny. So, because I was looking at the guy that we were just looking at first, that's Corey Monteith, who was in Glee.
Okay, because this Graham Wardle was, again, I am so excited to see, because I was so disappointed when he left Heartland, and to see him in something else, I was doing the biggest happy dance when I saw this. I was, oh my Lord, I was so happy to see. I was like, oh my Lord, I was like, holy crap.
So
I followed him on socials, and
we're friends.
I got way too excited over this.
We're like this. I'm over here. Well, and I didn't recognize who this person is. I don't watch Heartland, but I was very amused by his puka shell necklace. Like, tell us this is from 2005 without telling us it's in 2005.
So yeah.
Right.
I was all sorts of excited over it.
Excellent. Are we ready to move on?
We are ready to move on.
Okay.
All right. So he is sending a video.
Yep.
Which is the kiss of death when anyone who sends a video saying I'm fine in a video in a show like this.
Yeah, totally fine. Okay, I gotta say this is something that bugs me. This is a very 2005 thing that bugs me. But here we are, one person of color in the entire episode. One. And you're never gonna believe who dies first.
Well, this bugs me.
Okay.
Because stereotypical, like, strange noise in the woods. Like,
I'm going to pause this a second here. Go ahead.
Do you really think the guys are going to stay in the tent? After they
I see your point. Well, and this guy is about, your Heartland heartthrob is about to do something I think is really stupid, which we'll get to in a second. I don't disagree with you. They're not, okay, these guys were going to die, right? Like, these guys have no real sense of self-preservation. I do just really quickly want to point out the book that Tommy is reading is called A Hero with a Thousand Faces. This is by Joseph Campbell. And it's a comparative mythology. This is something actually Jared talks about at conventions a whole lot because his mother was an English teacher, and so she taught archetypes. So he talks about Joseph Campbell quite a bit. But the whole, like, a lot of modern things, like Star Wars leans on Joseph Campbell's mythology archetypes pretty heavily, and this show Supernatural itself leans pretty heavily on Star Wars. So it's a lot of modern stories are told using these Joseph Campbell archetypes. So I thought it was kind of interesting that he was reading that book. Okay, I'm going to hit play, and now he's about to do something I think is incredibly stupid. Go ahead, Lynn.
Oh yeah. So the guy's watching. Well, see, this is the guy who goes out first, and it's like, okay, you hear someone scream, so let's poke our head out, and all, and he gets sucked out. It's like,
Yep.
really? So I mean, he like shuts the light off,
And Tommy turns the light off, like, oh yeah, the monster has no idea you're in there, didn't just see your light on a second ago. Like, you're totally safe now with your light off.
at least he stays in the tent. In the very least, at least he's got the common sense to stay in the damn tent.
He does. He does. I don't know. I think these guys were destined to die. Like, this is. And,
Unlike the other dude who's poked his head out of the tent.
Yeah, I don't know how much safety a tent provides.
Oh, absolutely zero.
Yeah.
So and now of course we have Sammy, who has gone to Jessica's grave.
He is.
So who of course looks oh so dashing in that suit.
He does
yes,
look
that
nice.
was
Floppy hair and all.
Yeah.
I just want to point this out super quickly. We got a good look at Jessica's birthday. Her birthday is January 24th. That's also Dean's birthday. So his girlfriend has the exact same birthday as his brother. And her death date is November 2nd, which is the exact same date his mother died 22 years earlier.
Oh.
So his girlfriend burned to death on the exact same date as his mother, and her birthday is the same as his brother's.
Okay, that's just freaky.
It's yeah. Oh, there's a lot with dates. Like, we're gonna talk a lot about that as the series goes on.
And of course, and yeah, and nightmares and him go hand in hand for it seems like quite some time. So yeah.
So that was a dream. It wasn't really happening.
So yeah, so they are back in the Impala.
They are.
Yeah.
And we're about to see in a second here that the director of this is David Nutter, who is the same director who directed the pilot. So they brought him in for this as well. So where are we, Lynn?
So they are in Grand Junction, as was just announced.
Mm-hmm. And why are they in Grand Junction?
I'm honestly trying to remember where.
So we can see the map in Sam's hand here. And there's some numbers written on the map. Where did those numbers come from?
Those are most likely coordinates from the journal.
From the journal, that's right.
Yes, that journal, that is the ever so important journal. Yes, because the father has led them to those woods, and they are hoping the dad is in the woods.
Right.
So they are headed right for those woods. And isn't that just such a lucky coincidence? Because they always seem to find the issue. They always seem to run into the issues. Sometimes intentionally, sometimes not.
They're on there. Well, they're there on purpose. I do also want to talk about this bear here. I love that there's this little scene where Dean is like, check out the size of this freaking bear. Because Jared Padalecki is afraid of bears in real life.
Oh, God.
So, what are we looking at?
All righty. So they are trying to come up with a realistic story so that they can get into the campsite, so that way they can go. They are hoping to go after. They are thinking they are going after their dad.
Right. So they didn't know that there was a campsite to go to. They're after their dad,
Yeah.
and they're talking to Ranger Rick here. And he's saying like, "Oh, you're friends of Haley's." Like, and Dean, you can see Dean like, "All right, I can go with this."
Yeah. So yeah.
Lynn, people can't
Yeah.
hear you thinking.
I know. Well, you see, I also have to actually listen to it. I don't have it memorized.
I don't have it memorized either, but
So yeah, so they are of course they are going to go and they are going to go and talk to this girl, which is where they find out that the brother has disappeared. And
and
this is when you discover that they have the 10,000 fake ID on
I
them.
say, I'm going to pause this. Do either one of us have a fake ID on our card? I don't.
Da, 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 da,
I do not.
Nope, I don't either.
Well, hopefully somebody following along at home has, has it on
As
theirs
a
because
fake ID.
that is a fake ID, and we have both drawn a bust. I will, before I hit play, I will really quickly say that it's kind of fun that so the name on this fake ID that Dean is showing here is Samuel Cole, which is without giving too much away, an infamous gun manufacturer was Samuel Colt. So the Colt line of guns came from Samuel Colt. So it's kind of a fun little play there. Okay, hitting play. Very disappointed with the bingo cards, but moving on. We may have another chance in a second here.
Yes.
So she spots
Dean
the
has
Impala,
discovered the car. So we know that she is a car person.
and okay, I'm calling that a checkout. Because if you turn to your brother and you go, "Oh my God," that's a checkout.
Yeah, that
Do
that that
either
is,
of
that
us
is
have
absolutely a checkout.
Do
What
either
did
of us have Dean checks out a woman on our card? I don't. Curses.
nope, I don't either.
All right.
Dang, damn it.
SPN family, hopefully you're having better luck than Lynn and I are.
Yes.
Okay, hitting play.
Yeah.
Very thirsty, hitting play.
All right, so this is when we find out that they have not heard from the brother in a couple of days, and how how it really is like the every single day thing, and where exactly he was, and how there might actually be more to this than just oops, he
Right.
forgot to check in, because they realize in the last video, and we'll see this in just a second here, the shadow. So
and then just really quickly, so so this is Alden Ehrenreich here, an extremely young Alden Ehrenreich. So he would go on to play Han Solo.
oh my, well, okay, I didn't know. Wow, that really is a young one.
Yeah, that's a very young Alden Ehrenreich.
Yeah.
There's another
Another
bear.
bear. Another bear. Man.
And a great rack.
Okay, so now we find out that there's some history with those woods, and this is suddenly getting more than just a coincidental with the like there might be some actual there might be something more going on that meets the eye here.
Right.
So and so this is when they discover the shadow,
Right.
which, which is like, this might actually.
So he's saying
Yeah,
here that it's only 3 frames, so whatever it is hauling ass. That
yeah,
it's super quick. And it got identified as a grizzly. They're like,
yeah,
no, this
no.
is too fast to be a bear.
Yeah.
And here they are.
Oh
This guy's
yes,
name is Mr.
yes,
Shaw.
yeah, the one survivor.
So Mr. Shaw was he was on Battlestar Galactica. So if you were a fan of Battlestar Galactica, you'll recognize this actor. His name is Donnelly Rhodes. So we actually have 2 Battlestar Galactica alumni in this episode. I'll point out the other one in just a moment.
So yeah, so they are trying to get him to recollect what went on that day, which of course is something he probably never ever wanted to think about again.
I'm sure it's a bad memory,
Uh,
sure, not to mention the fact that everybody told him he was crazy. Yeah,
yeah,
so if nobody believes you, you're not going to be in a hurry to trot out that story to
no.
begin with.
So yeah, so they slowly get him to trust them,
Hmm.
but it definitely.
And this is something that we're going to see throughout the series that these puppy dog eyes of Sam's open many doors. So anytime somebody needs some hand holding, Sam is usually the one who steps up to the plate on it.
I mean, hey, could you really say no to that face?
I would not say no to that face. Um, well, and we're getting kind of an interesting piece of information here where Mr. Shaw is saying it didn't break into a tent. It didn't break in. They were in a cabin and it
No,
didn't bust in. It
it, it,
unlocked the door. So
yeah.
whatever it
So,
is smart.
so yeah, and so we also that's sort of more confirmation that it's definitely not a bear because bears
Not a
don't
bear.
open doors.
Yeah, not unlocking them. They don't. I mean, bears are pretty smart. They can get into a lot of stuff. No picnic basket is safe.
No,
But yeah, this was something you would not expect from a bear. Excuse me.
no. So and
I
then
love this line. I love this line. There's something evil in those woods. Love it.
yep, and then really obviously we just saw the scar that
Yeah.
whatever it was just left.
So they're having this
Mhm.
conversation here where the boys are saying, okay, if it were a ghost, it would just go straight through the walls. So it's got to be something corporeal. It's got to be something with a body.
Yeah.
Um, I will say too, I love this part here. This happens super fast. This is a blink and you miss it. But Dean pops open the trunk here. He puts the he uses the shotgun and then I'm going to pause this actually for a second. He puts this duffel right on top of a grenade launcher. There is a grenade launcher in baby's trunk.
That
And actually
surprised you.
I'm sorry.
Does that really surprise you? There seems
Uh,
to be every weapon known to man in that trunk. Like they seem to be able to pull anything and everything out of that trunk.
It is a magic trunk. There's
Yes.
on Supernatural Wiki, the fandom site, there is a list of everything that's in the trunk, and it's like,
It's like
okay, that
Mary
is a
Poppins. It's like Mary Poppins' purse.
the magic bag. Yeah, it's like now. Don't get me wrong. The Impala has an enormous like she got a big backyard for them, but the amount of, like, she would need 3 trunks to fit everything that they magically pull out of that trunk at some point during the show. But the grenade launcher is very special, and Jensen begged for years to to let him use the grenade launcher. And it's, I think, season 12 before he finally gets a chance. It's a long time, but he loved that grenade launcher. Um, the only other thing I'm going to mention while we're here is, like I said, he uses the sawed-off shotgun to prop the false bottom on the trunk open. When Jensen went to pull that out, he clocked himself in the eye. So if you watch the gag reel for this season, you can see him hit himself in the face when the gun by accident.
At least he didn't have it go off.
It did not go off. No, no, thank goodness. That would have been a real tragedy. But
Yeah.
he just like sort of slightly injured himself, and that's hilarious. Okay, so I'm hitting play
Yeah.
here. So he's loading up the duffel.
Yeah. Yep.
And what are they talking about here, Lynn?
So yeah, so they're talking about all the different weapons they're going to need to defeat said monster and how
Mhm.
exactly they're going to do this, not knowing exactly what they're going up against.
Right. I think it's really interesting that we can see that like Sam's pretty grumpy here.
Yes.
Yeah, like the brothers are having a bit of a spat. Um, that he just wants to go after dad, and
Yeah.
he feels
Yeah.
like, babysitting these people is kind of a waste of time. So here's our other, this is Callum Keith Rennie. This is our other Battlestar Galactica alumni we have in this episode. The only other thing I'm going to mention here is Haley's shorts annoy the shit out of me. Like, you're going off trail here. Like, shorts that short, you're gonna be digging ticks out of places you do not want ticks. Like, you're gonna have poison ivy. It's gonna be bad. Like, she's busting their chops for not having the right provisions to go hiking in the woods. And look how she's dressed. Like, I
Yeah.
get it. She's cute. We want to see her in short shorts, but come on.
I was like, you're
Like,
going hiking, put on long pants, proper boots, the whole 9
yeah.
yards. Like, come
Like,
on.
I get it. I
Okay.
get it. She's cute. Oh, here's
Oh,
your
and so
here's
yeah,
your
so now we see
friend.
the brother is
Here's
all
your
tied up.
friend.
Yep, and we also see uh the other roommate is the
Yeah,
other
this one's
roommate is
Corey
in it.
Monteith
Yep.
from
So yeah, so
Glee.
now the creature is coming back, and unfortunately for him, the creature is hungry. So
Indeed.
so yeah, he is unfortunately no longer.
He he's
So
lunch.
yeah, so
He's lunch. He's all gone.
so now
And
so
I think that's a good performance from your buddy there.
yeah, now of just having to watch his good buddy get eaten. Ugh.
Eaton, yeah.
Yeah,
Like, yeah, and there's some super gross sound effects there too.
yeah, yeah. So no, that was a pretty decent depiction of what one's face would look like. So now we're back in the woods, and you
Mhm.
definitely see the egos playing around a little bit, and Dean just got his ego handed to him
Yeah, this
because
is definitely a measuring contest here,
yes, yes, 100% of yeah,
which my money's on Dean, but
yeah.
moving on.
So yeah, especially later, we will definitely see that.
Well, I meant for the measuring contest.
Oh,
But
my brain didn't go quite there.
I minded.
So yeah,
So,
so now, so now he's kind of having a bit of a flirting moment here with her,
it's a
and
flirt.
yeah,
I do
So
love this line here though, where he's like, you know, oh, is he gonna eat? Wait, is he eating? He's got his
uh
hand in the bag.
yes, hand was in the bag.
Wait, go, but oh, damn it!
No, we don't actually see if he eats
He
them.
doesn't eat anything. Ah, bastard. So I do love that comment though he makes where he's like, "This is the most honest I've ever been with a woman, like ever."
Ever.
so, um, so we do get
And
this
well,
little,
I think right here is also, if you think about it, I think Sammy is realizing that Dad's not here
Dad is not here.
because they just called out the coordinates.
Right. All right. So they are at the spot that was in John's journal, and
Journal.
there's nothing there.
Yeah. So I think that was a real awakening for him, and it was written all over his face.
Yeah.
That's like,
Yeah,
this
I
was
agree.
this was this was another letdown.
You know, and I will say I think Jared does a good job with this. There's one scene coming up in a bit that I'm like, okay, buddy, dial it back a little bit. He's a little extra. But I think he's doing a good job considering this is, you know, the whopping second episode he's played
Yeah.
Sam Winchester.
Mhm.
You know, he's still trying to get his arms around the character, but you know, he I think he's doing a good job.
Yeah. Okay,
All right, so what are we looking at?
so now we are at the tent, and it is clear that the campsite has been demolished. And of course, the best thing to do when there is a known whatever in the woods is to scream at the top of your lungs.
Yes, definitely make lots of noise, let the monster know where you are. Perfect plan. Carry on.
So, and they have just found tracks. So they that have then mysteriously vanished. So they realize that that the guys have been dragged, but then all of a sudden, out of nowhere, the footprints stop.
Hmm.
So, so they are getting more and more clues as to this thing, what this thing is. And she has
Right,
just found the phone which has been demolished. So, and she is now processing that.
right.
And
And so we've got Dean
and
cornered.
now they have just heard a scream, and of course everybody is taking off running, which is, at least they are all kind of running in a group. But
Yeah.
but I'm trying to remember. Okay, so but then I think this is when they suddenly realize that they have been set up. That this thing is actually setting. Yep, yep.
So how have they set up?
They realize that they've been set up, and that this thing is actually. Yep. Well, that's because they're trying to set you up.
How have they been set up?
Because whoever it is has now taken all of their gears. So
Right. So it lured them out away from the campsite, and then while they were gone, took all their shit.
yeah. So now they are suddenly figuring it out, and he has figured it out.
So what does Sam have?
So he believes it is a Wendigo, which is it's a Native American legend that is
Hmm.
a creature that has turned human, and it's based on cannibalism that makes them superhuman in strength and speed,
Right.
which is makes it oh so charming.
Yeah, it sounds lovely.
Yeah,
And just super quick, so we can see that Dean is carrying around John's journal in his coat. So he pretty much just has it on him all the time.
oh yeah,
Uh, and so Sam has asked for he asked Dean to see the journal, and he found an entry in there on Wendigos. Again, with the pissing contests.
Yep.
Um,
And now he's explaining to the guy exactly what this thing is, and let's be honest, that he is not going to believe them.
right. I
So
will say this is something that annoys me too. So Sam is just about to say, "You ever hunt a Wendigo?" He gets the "w" out. Dean comes charging at him, shoves him back, like, "Hey, don't tell these people what this monster is. What's wrong with you?" But in like 2 minutes, Dean is going to be drawing Anasazi symbols, talking about these will protect us from the Wendigo. So I don't know what's going on here, where he like, no, Sam, don't tell them what's going on. And then immediately after the
yep,
commercial break, let me
yep,
tell you
here
what's
we
going
go.
on.
Yep, and here
Like,
he is now actively drawing these symbols, but which of course these guys are thinking he's absolutely crazy for.
of course, like I gotta say, like I would think they were out of their minds. Like what rational person would believe this? Like clearly these two guys are whack jobs. Um, so what's happening here?
So yeah, so they are now, I think Sam is definitely going through it mentally right now, and Dean is
Mhm.
trying to calm him down a bit as he is trying to process all of this and realize, like, Dad's not here. This is basically all hell's
Mhm.
breaking loose is the way I
Not
put.
yet. That's next season.
Well, no, just no, just in this particular moment.
Yes, yeah.
So yeah,
Just with this show, it always gets worse.
oh
It
yeah,
never gets better. It always gets worse.
yeah. But it is amazing to me, though, the amount of information that's in that tiny little journal.
It is a magic journal. It is
Yeah,
kind of a magic journal. Um, and I love this little scene here. And this line right here, saving people, hunting things, the family business, is iconic. Like people have tattoos with that, like on their bodies. Um, it's the mission statement of the show. Like this is one of the most iconic lines in the entire series we get here. The other thing I want to mention, I'm going to pause this quickly because I am prepared to call this a heartfelt bromance.
yes. Oh, I
Do
absolutely would. I would say we've almost had a couple at this point. So
well, I mean, they've definitely had some conversations, but there's something about this one that I'm personally prepared to call it. So, do either one of us have a heartfelt bromance? I don't.
no, but now would we even say that Sammy is borderline sort of choking up and crying, or is this
If
not?
I don't see a tear slide down a cheek, I'm not prepared to call it a cry.
Okay.
Um, like I want cry baby, like I want to see I want to see, I
um,
don't want to just see like a little misting in the eyes. I want to see a single man tear. However, this is bullshit and I'm going to drink something right now.
because yeah, I haven't gotten anything either.
No, I'm saying okay, I may not be able to mark off a square but I'm thirsty.
Me too.
Okay, hitting play. Wizard Dave says he's enjoying a rum and coke.
That's awesome.
All right, so what's
Uh,
happening here, Lynn?
all right. I'm trying to remember which conversation they're in. Oh
Have
yeah. So so they trying so Dean is trying to prepare Sammy that it may take a while to find Dad, and
mhm.
that he's got to be patient and all that. So it may not be instantaneous, and he's got to just he's got to calm down and get his expectations realistic.
Right. And I will say honestly, this is what makes me prepared to call this a broman is, and this is a great conversation that they have here, where, um, you know, it, Sam is saying like, how do you do this? Because Dean and John have been hunting without Sam while Sam was at school,
Right.
and Sam is like, how do
And
you do
just
this? This is terrible.
for the brother.
Yes, they've heard the brother's voice. I'm going to hit pause real quickly because I don't want to move past that too quickly. I said quickly a lot, but quickly. But in all seriousness, like this is a really great moment where Dean is saying to Sam, "This is why we do it," and he points to Haley and her brother, and
Yeah.
like we're helping them. We're doing this so that maybe what happened to us doesn't hurt some other family, doesn't happen to somebody else, and that makes it a little better for us. So I love this conversation that they have here. Okay, sorry, Lynn, take it away.
No, I think so. Yeah, so clearly you can hear the screaming and all of that, and they believe that the brother is calling them for help,
Mm-hmm.
and
Yeah,
and they are trying to keep them in that circle and all of that, knowing that is the safest area, but it's getting harder and harder and harder to do that.
Well, and their guide is like, "Oh, the magic circle, ooh," but
and
yeah,
there he goes. So of
there goes
course,
Roy. And I do
yep,
love too, the only one with a weapon that's actually effective against a Wendigo is
yep, and
Haley.
there he goes.
Everybody else charges off into the woods with guns that they know are useless. Haley's the only one with fire, something that actually works.
Yep. So now he's gone, and Sam again is really struggling, and we're seeing that quite a bit in this episode. It's just he is mentally not in a good place.
He's not. The one thing I do want to say really quickly before we move on is we did see the monster like grab Roy by the head and like
Yeah.
yank him up into the tree. So
Yeah.
now we know why the tracks are disappearing.
Yes. So yeah, now they're finally realizing it and realizing the guys actually know what they're talking about.
Mm-hmm.
And all right, so and they're actually willing to listen now. So
We've got a son of a bitch.
oh,
Do either one of us have son of a bitch on our card? I have jerk bitch. I do not have son of a bitch. Do you? This is bullshit, man.
Nope, I do not.
Wait, Wizard Dave says I have it. Wait. Son of a bitch, I have it.
You're
Yippee!
even sober.
I'm sober adjacent.
Okay, you've had 3 sips. You should be sober.
Do you remember me mentioning that there are 4-year-olds with a higher tolerance than I
Yes,
have?
I know.
You've known me for decades. You know how I have no tolerance for alcohol at all. All right. So what are we at? I have 3 on the board. You have 2.
I have
Is
2.
that we're at? All right. SPN family, if you're playing along with us, I hope you're having better luck than we are.
Yeah, no, I think I'm gonna get another one on the board.
I hope that you do. I hope that you. All right, I'm hitting play.
What I was gonna say, has Dean called Sam Sammy in this episode? Because we have
Not that I've seen.
Okay.
Not that I have seen. No. Let me double check. Checking my cheat sheet here. No, I don't believe we get a Sammy in this episode.
All right.
So we're getting the lore on Wendigo here.
Yep. yeah, so now they find out about the cannibalism and all of that. So okay, so now we also find out that they're immortal, which
Makes them
so
tough to kill.
and now we find out that this is why the brother may still be alive, because it's always hunting, but it paces itself as far as food
Hmm.
because it doesn't eat everything in one shot.
Right. Which, if you remember, very early on, they were saying that there were the deaths and the disappearances were happening in, well, they're disappearances, but they're happening on a 23-year cycle.
Yep.
And this is where Dean says, well, it can hibernate for years. So that explains the 23-year cycle that we learned about at the beginning. And now we've got Dean with some flamethrowers.
Yep. Very
He's
cool.
carrying a
And
little Molotov cocktail here.
yep.
Miss Shorty Shorts and her brother are with Dean.
And of course, and yep, and we see a track.
Got some scratches.
Yep.
So this
And
is the point. I'm sorry, go ahead.
so yeah, so they've now spotted the scratches, but very quickly here they're going to realize, and it doesn't take them very long here to realize that this is a little too neat and tidy.
This is a little too easy. Yeah, and this is the one place I will say I think Jared maybe overplays his hand a little bit here. Like he's on 11, maybe he needs to dial it down to like an 8, you know.
Yep.
He's like,
See, and
oh,
now, oh, and you actually see the monster in that
we
frame.
get a tiny glimpse
Yep.
and it is super fast.
Yep. So yeah, so now we
I
realize.
love this shot here
Yeah.
with the where you like the blood on her shoulder. I think that's pretty cool.
Yeah. So
And here's Roy.
so yeah. So
R.I.P.
you
Roy.
realize that the tour guide is dead,
Roy
and
is dead. No more
yep,
Roy.
and they have been lured, and that was a complete trap, and that they are now face to face with this thing,
They are.
and they are also separated
Yes.
because the sister is with Dean, and Sam has the brother. And of course, now is what did we talk about with the screaming?
Right. Yeah, they immediately start shouting again.
It's like, really? So, oh, and this is when we realize that those M&Ms come in handy,
I
because
know,
this
we've
is,
got a trail of MEMs.
yep, yep. So this is when we've got the M&M trail. Was it
So
Hansel and Gretel?
it's better than breadcrumbs.
Yep. Wow.
Gotta, and this is something that we'll see, throughout the series is really how resourceful the brothers are. Um,
But when you're a hunter of this kind of
yeah,
thing, you've got to
you
be
gotta be.
resourceful.
Yeah, it's not really a spoiler, but many many seasons from now, Dean has a line that's you either get good quick or you get dead quicker.
Yep.
That this kind of life is hard, and you either figure it out fast or you don't. And
Yeah.
if you don't, it doesn't go well for you.
All right.
Um,
So they can hear the monsters here. So they know that they've got to stay hidden and stay out of its line of sight, because otherwise this is not going to end well. And there we can see one walking away. So they know screaming is not an option here, and they've got to be silent, and they've got to just
yeah.
creep through and find who they're looking for and get
Mhm.
the hell out.
And Sam literally puts his hand
Yeah.
over the brother's face here, like over his mouth to
And
keep him
now
quiet.
they just fell through the floor, which actually ends up not necessarily being such a horrible thing.
It works for them. I
Yeah.
mean, it's creepy as hell because, now they've got leftovers.
But yeah, it ends up working because they have found who they're looking for.
They have, and I'm going to hit pause because we've got a tied up brother here.
I thought we did.
We do. That is officially Dean hanging by his wrist by rope. Do either of us
Yes,
have?
I do. One of the boys
Oh,
is
you've got
tied.
one. Yay.
Yay! Cheers.
I do and not. Good for you. Although, are they unconscious? I would say
Um,
they're unconscious, which means if we've got someone gets knocked out,
I do.
I do too. So you're ahead of me by one.
All right. Double drink.
Awesome. I
Uh,
don't know. No.
I say, but as much as I've got 3 in a row, I don't think I can conceivably
Not
get.
getting five.
I don't think so because I don't think this is going to be much of a spoiler. I don't think Dean talks about porn in this episode.
He does not talk about porn. There is tragically no porn in this episode. All right, I've hit play. Dean is awake. What are we looking at, Lynn?
All right, so he is. They've also found the sister, and so they are trying to get everybody untied and down, and they're assessing the situation
Mm-hmm.
and all of that. And in a brief moment here, they find there it is. They find the other brother.
They do. Here's your
Yep.
heartland.
Oh,
Heartthrob.
there's my boy. And they are about to realize he's still alive.
He is.
Yeah.
He's
You
not
jump
lunch.
about a foot there when you realize he's actually still
Got
alive.
him.
Now, what I find miraculous is for someone who's been hanging there as long as he has been, he moves remarkably well.
Yeah, I mean, this is something we're just going to suspend disbelief on. But yeah, the reality is hanging like that, your arms are pretty much going to be useless, and but I do love this little gun twirl because Dean finds a couple of flare guns in the campers packs that are
Yeah.
lying there, and there's this little like we've got a little gun twirl from Dean that's very cute.
So
Lynn,
now,
what's happening?
so now they are trying to figure out a plan because they have realized that they've got to get out of there. But the monster has come back and it's hungry. So it's okay. How do I divert this thing so that way everybody else can get out? So it's okay, people. Now we need to. Okay, it has now. Dean is trying to get it the other way, and they need to move quickly now and get everyone else out.
Yeah, I gotta say, honestly, I don't love this. You want some white meat, bitch? I don't love this comment from Dean. Um, but he does start running along shouting, I taste good, which makes me giggle.
so so now they've got to figure out where this they've got to figure out where this thing is and get as many of them out of here as conceivably possible before this
Right.
thing comes after them and all of that. So now we've got Sam kind of hiding in the wings, hoping to. And the teacher has now found him.
Yeah, and the thing with flare guns is they only have one shot.
And he is now running for his life because the creature has now found them, and they've got to move, and they got to move fast because it wants dinner, and it's found lots of options.
It's a mite peckish.
Yeah. Okay, so now Dean is protecting them. Sam is protecting all of them.
Right. I do love this. That like, okay, so he's unarmed at this point. There's one shot in the flare gun and it's gone. And so, all he can do is put himself between the monster and these people.
Now tell me, does this particular image right here not remind you of the Goonies?
Of what? I'm sorry?
Goonies. Like
the Goonies.
Not in that moment, but like two frames back, before you realize how skinny it was, did it not remind you?
The Sloth from the Goonies. Yeah, except Goonies, they didn't set Sloth on fire.
No, but like
I have to say, honestly, I'm sorry, Lynn, go ahead.
Yeah, until before you get into
I'm gonna pause this a second. Go ahead.
Before you got into the full light, like when you could just sort of see the shading on his face, I was like, okay, they brought back the Goonies. And then they brought the full light, and I'm like, okay, no longer looks like the Goonies. It's much freakier looking.
It's funny that you bring that up because so the creator of the show, Eric Kripke, that he for a long time he said this was one of his sort of least favorite episodes in season 1. But the reason why he didn't like it was they couldn't get the creature to look the way that they wanted. Excuse me. And this is a quote from Eric Kripke. He says, that the Wendigo looked more like Gollum's tall, gangly cousin than anything else. So I think a skinny sloth from the Goonies is also a good description. So yeah, I mean it's a show that they didn't have a big budget, so they were doing the best that they could, but yeah, the monster itself is not the best. However,
keep in mind, the Goonies freaked me out for years. So for me to say it looked like the Goonies, that's actually creepy for me.
That's a compliment.
Yeah, that's actually a compliment. If you're something freaky and I tell you it looks like the Goonies, that's a compliment because that guy creeped.
Good job. Sloth was a little creepy, but I gotta say, like for 2005, this special effect of the Wendigo burning up, like that's pretty good. Like even now, it's pretty good. You feel like this is darn near 20 years ago. Like that's a pretty decent effect, I think, for the budget that they had and the state of technology at the time. They did a pretty good job.
I was gonna say because we're doing TV here. We're not doing like the movie theater here,
right?
Yeah,
I think they do a good job. All right, I'm hitting play. So the Wendigo is dead.
So now they are.
Oh, wait a second. I'm hitting pause again. We have a question from Wizard. Wizard, does that count as burning a body?
I would say yes to that.
I'm going yes. Like the body's alive, but it's a body. I'm going for it. Cheers. Yeah. Well spotted, Wizard Dave.
All right, hold on. So I got to see if I've got burning a body.
Angel smiting. Angel smiting, burning a body, same thing. No, for the folks who can't hear our man behind the curtain, and he's saying that Lynn has angel smiting on her card twice. So I'm gonna have to take a look at our bingo card generator and figure out how the same thing showed up there twice. So Lynn, if you want to decide that one of those is burning a body, you go right ahead.
Works.
All right.
This card has sucked. So
I
I
know. We need a gimme. It's a mulligan. We need a
yeah.
gimme.
So yeah,
Um,
cheers.
cheers, my friend. Okay, I'm just making a little note to myself that we've got to burn a body. Okay, so real quickly before I hit play here, so there were two composers on Supernatural. They took turns. One is Christopher Leonard's, the other is Jay Gruska. So Jay Gruska is the composer for this particular episode, and he's got there's I think just a really beautiful, sweet little score here um, when um, sorry, my Rodian Splice is kicking in.
Someone got
When
the
they're all,
giggles.
I'm getting the giggles. That get one more shot, I'm going to turn into "I love you, man."
Yeah, I'm not gonna argue with you.
So it's coming up in a minute here, but when Dean and Haley are talking outside of the ambulance, there's just a really sweet little score that I take a second to appreciate. I think it's really beautiful work from Jay Gruska. All right, I'm hitting play. We've got the brothers saying, "Oh, it was the biggest grizzly you've ever seen."
Yes, and now of course Dean and Haley are also having a little
How
bit of
could
a
I
flirtate.
possibly ever say thank you? Dean's like, I've got some ideas.
Like I know you can thank me.
I've got a suggestion or two.
Yeah. Oh, and
We
oh,
get a little kiss
you'll
on
get
the
the
cheek.
kiss.
Little kiss on the
So
cheek. And then she just walks
walks
right past
away.
Sam like, thanks.
Oh, puppy pie.
Sam gets denied.
Oh, but
Real quick note about Jay Gruska that he also composed the score for an episode of Charmed called The Wendigo. So this is his
no,
second Wendigo episode of television that he's composed the score for. All right, what do we got?
yeah, so now they're back to talking about finding dad again, which of course is an ongoing theme.
Mm-hmm. And Sam says, I'm
I'm
driving.
doing.
Dean, is Sam gonna drive?
Oh yeah, yeah,
Sam
we
is
got
about to
Sam
drive.
in the
I'm hitting pause. Do either one of us have Sam drives, baby? I do.
let's see if I do. I don't think I do because I think at this point I practically.
More for me.
I love you too.
Yeah, it's official. I have become I love you man now. All right, I'm hitting play. And I know we preempted it a bit, but there it goes. The
They
car is
are
moving.
off
Sam is
and picking up
driving.
dust.
And there's a really great little score here. It's Fly By Night by
Yeah.
Rush.
So, and as the
Um,
music cranks, and there are the ending credits.
Rush, the greatest rock band ever. All right, and that is our episode. I did miss at the very beginning of the episode, we had Hot Blooded by Foreigner. So that was Fly By Night by Rush. So there we go. That was our episode. Let's take a quick look at the cards here. So yeah, definitely not 5 in a row. It's very scattered.
They're just not in a row.
2, 3, 4, 5. I have 6. How many do you have total?
I have 5.
I win again.
Yes.
Well, I don't win. I lose again.
That's what I was like, oh, wait a minute. Is Sam crying? Because if Sam had been crying, I would have tied.
Yes. So, and I have to say, honestly, since since I've been putting together this drinking game, I've realized it's turned me into a horrible person because I'm watching this show like, cry, baby, cry. Come on, torture him, torture.
Justin, last week when you were like, if you want to drink, I'm like, I don't want to drink. I want to beat you.
Well, once again, I have lost by the least. So, all right, what did you think about this episode, Lynn? What one thing you loved, one thing you hated?
Well, clearly, I loved seeing Grand Mortal
Yes.
in the episode. So obviously I liked that. Of course, I think he was in maybe 3 minutes of the entire episode. So I liked seeing the connection of the two brothers.
Yeah.
Like, I think you really saw not just the sarcasm, but the genuine connection of the brothers.
Right.
Which that I really liked.
Mm-hmm.
And really seeing Dean help Sam like through some of, as it was clear that Sam was struggling, really see Dean help him, trying to help his brother through
Right.
some of that. I love that.
And it's interesting that you mentioned that, and then I'll let you say what it was that you hated. But that really is, no matter what else happens, the relationship between the brothers is the core of the show. And excuse me, Jensen tells a story. He's told it more than one time at different conventions about, there was an occasion where Eric Kripke pulled the two of them aside and they sat down on a park bench and he's like, look, this show is going to live or die on the relationship between the two of you, and the two brothers. And it was something that they understood pretty quickly that, what, okay, it's a show about, urban legends and, monsters and roadside America. But if they didn't have the relationship between the two brothers, they had nothing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, no.
So what did you hate?
This episode, you really, obviously in the series in general, to a certain extent, just because of the topics, you've got to suspend disbelief to a certain extent.
Of course.
You
mean monsters aren't real?
Yeah, I hate to tell you, but no. But this one, I felt like it had a lot of B-rated horror movie elements, like more than they normally do. And it was like, okay, come on, like everything that they like, it's like, don't do this, don't do this, don't do this, and don't do this. They threw the entire like stereotype into one episode. It's like
every trope they could find, they chucked in. Yeah.
Yeah, and it was like, okay, could we have, not that you could really make it serious, but did you have to put every stereotype in? Really?
Yeah.
So that kind of I thought it was a little overboard on the cheesiness in that aspect, a little bit, because then you went like to the sentimental with the brothers on the same thing as going uber cheesy with like every stereotype. No fun. So that I thought clashed a little bit.
And it's interesting that you say that because, so they did the pilot and at its core, the monster of the week for the pilot was the woman in white. So she's a ghost. She's a vengeful spirit. It's a haunting. And so the episode they had originally intended to air next, should it be picked up for series, was also a haunting. And the studio went, we don't want two ghost stories back to back. We don't want them in a row, exactly. And so they went, well, fuck, what do we do? And so Wendigo was brought forward in the lineup, and it was written pretty hastily, and I think it shows.
Yeah, it
You
does show.
know,
It
yeah,
really does show.
I completely agree, and it, and that's the thing is like the pilot was so good,
Mm-hmm.
and then and we talked about this, during our little intro video, that okay, I was not a fan of this show from the beginning.
Yeah.
20 years ago, I was not watching Supernatural, and I've corrupted you. I brought you to the dark side. So
Oh
neither
yeah,
one of us
no,
saw the
we're
show when it
actually
aired.
now, your nephew and I are now up to, I want to say 11.
Oh, you're cruising right along. You're cruising right along. So you can see that it does get better from here.
Yes, yeah, no,
But
as I know, I told you, through an outside conversation, there is one episode I'm really struggle with.
yeah, we're gonna have to have a chat about what we want to do about that one. But as far
I was
as
gonna say
this episode is concerned, go ahead. I'm sorry.
no, I was gonna say the pillow and I are gonna get along really well with that one because, oh my God.
Well, yeah, we're going to talk about that when we get there. But so as far as this episode is concerned, is I can't I can't imagine what it had to have been like, in 2005, sitting down to watching the first episode,
Yeah.
sitting down to watch the first episode, and it was so good.
Yes.
And then you tune in week 2, and you've got Wendigo,
Yeah.
and it's
Not,
okay.
yeah. I was like, for me, if it didn't have Graham in it, which
Mm.
got me so excited,
Oh!
um, like, and then the moment with the brothers, like, to me, that's what got me to hang on,
Yep,
were those three aspects. And then it's like, all
right.
right, you know what, kind of deal. But I mean, for any show though, if you, I hate to say, if you give up after like 2 episodes, you're not giving it a shot. Like,
I
every,
agree.
every show has its good weeks, and it's okay, that wasn't one of its best, but
Yeah. And the reality is, there are 327 episodes of Supernatural. Some of them are going to be lemons.
yeah,
But the average score is quite high.
yeah,
So for me, and I know I talked about it a little bit already, but I absolutely love that conversation that Sam and Dean have in the woods when Sam is like, how have you and dad been doing this all this time? And we get that great line from Dean, saving people, hunting things, the family business. And they talk about why do they do this? And, their mother died under such horrific circumstances, and we're going to get a lot more of this as the season rolls on, that they did not have a great upbringing.
no,
Like they weren't raised, they were trained
yes,
as soldiers. And, again, I don't want to give too much away, but, you know, their, their lives are hard. And, why do you do this? And especially from Sam, who had this chance at a normal life. Like, he was going to school, he was living with Jess, she was baking him cookies, and like, you gave up the chance of that for possibly getting eaten by an immortal superhuman cannibal. Like, what? And for Dean to be able to say, like, being able to help other people, save them from what we've been put through, that's what makes this bearable.
yeah,
So I love that conversation that the two of them have in the woods. Um, as far as what I hated, I completely agree with you that there's just not necessarily one thing you can point to, but the whole episode itself, you can tell that they rushed. So if I had to pick one thing that you haven't already mentioned, that kind of, I'm like, I don't love it, is the way that they kind of like cobbled together Native American lore. Like it's a bunch of white folks. Let's be honest, it's a bunch of white dudes. Um, like, when the show first started, the most of the creative team was straight white men. And they're okay, they're trying. There's even a little bit in the score, and I love Jay Gruska. I think he's an amazing composer. But, there's even a little bit of like that kind of that tropey Native American pan flute in the score. That they're like, oh, it's a Cree legend, like Wendigo is a Cree word, but we're using Anasazi symbols. Like, they just kind of like, oh, they cobbled together this lore that they, I think, didn't really articulate well. There's no First Nation people that they consult. Like I don't love it. I don't love it. So I mean the episode as a whole. Go ahead. I'm sorry.
I was gonna say they didn't do their research as fully as they could have.
Yeah, or they didn't. It, it, you know, and you're going to hear me say this on occasion that I don't personally feel comfortable representing a community to which I do not belong. And so okay, it was 2005. I don't want to judge a show that's 20 years old by modern standards, but at the same time I don't love that. Like if I've got to come up with something to say that I hated that you haven't already mentioned, that's what I'm going to say.
Yeah.
But in general, I don't think the episode is bad. I know it's going to get a lot better. I know they're capable of better.
Mm-hmm. Oh yeah.
Oh, all right. So, any last thoughts? If the answer is no, it's okay.
No, I think we've said it all on this one. I think.
All right. In that case, that is last call. Thanks so much for coming along with us for the ride. We love to hear from our SPN family. So please feel free to email us at hunterfuelpodcast@gmail.com. I promise I will have the social media thing figured out soon, and I will have that information for you. But until then, in our next episode, we will be watching season 1, episode 2, Dead in the Water, when Sam and Dean discover it isn't safe to go back in the water. Until then, be safe, everybody. Bye-bye.
Bye.